Good evening, everybody. Wow, I have those on bright. I will turn them down, I promise. Whew. My name is Tony Placido, and I'm your host this evening, and most evenings. Thank you. Welcome to Poets and Pints number 94. That's the year I graduated. So, we're trucking along. We're getting towards our 100th show, which will be in September. Very excited about it. And tonight we have some people who haven't been here in a while, so I'm very happy to see that as well. And we have some great features tonight, as well as one person that's in from out of town. And we also have a featured artist tonight, Frances, and she's got cards that she's giving away as well. But make sure you're at the break and stuff. You're over there, you're buying stuff, support local art, as well as Jordan, who's come in from Kansas City. He's brought some books, so make sure you buy a book. It's always good to support art when you can. So we're going to start off the show like we start off a lot of the shows with a poem by someone you might not have heard of. So Charlie, if you want to come up and give us that poem, that would be great.
This Charlie. Sorry. That's right. I was going to say this Charlie. I'll read your bio.
I was going to read one by a 15th century Hindu mystic, which is who is quite observant and very cynical and very modern, but I think it'd take too long. This is a much more modern poem. It's by a Pakistani American by the name of Ibtisam Barakat. Ibtisam Barakat. It's called Generous. I have known 1,000 kinds of death. Death of a plant on the windowsill. Death of a plant, of a pet that listened more than a mother. Death of a big dream because I could not find a big warm room for it on a cold night. Not even one death was kind as it took without permission, but all were generous, offering an absence, a fierce sunset followed by a feared darkness, without which I never would have befriended the moon and the guiding stars in myself.
Thank you. All right. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into our features tonight. Our first feature this evening is Charlie G. Charlie's a mixed Mexican from Texas, currently based in Minneapolis. They write and perform spoken word poetry about love, class struggles, and trying to live mindfully. They are a college dropout, me too, and voracious reader, not so much. Between gardening and helping at and attending community events and cooking, you can find them on walks in the Whittier area. Please put your hands together for Charlie G.
Lots of shade grow upside. How do I grow? I'm still scared to get rich, but hardly scared to take risk. To make this what I meant it to be, if the universe agrees, it's meant for me. My decisions weren't always well-intentioned. This youth past self-destruct. Been through rob and jug, walking love in circles, still stuck, wondering. Catching tones, thought they ain't for me. I heard make-believe dreams in school. Seen triple beams go digital, making means turn critical. I'm a child of my area code eras, product of state property. Introduced to larceny, seduced by, hey, I'm gonna thieve out this, reduced to hood rat shit. We was kids, confusion comes with the territory. Petty crime, cause goons get got. I ain't speaking on sales for sales at the A-line. But what's a little B&E between friends? Even Kung Fu Kenny had to find the glow beyond what good kids know in a mad city. A few fiends in the family, keeping mostly clean. Going green on less than lethal means, it's just another tendency. Gotta learn to recognize when someone's on the road to strung out before sirens chime in. Tia used to boost out the corporate shops. Once we got stopped, Ma left work to keep me out of juvie. Papa was known to toss seeds around, blessing wild corn crops. But that was out in the sticks, and I was in a new land of stick talk before I knew bugler was weed. Marked country by drawling Texas mumble. When I don't open my mouth, you best lean in. Seen water pass unannounced. Those surprise baptisms, the reason I only smoke with kinfolk and still watch them roll up. Been noided, before lines best avoided. Guess I should have done better. By lace up whatever weather. Trained to go on fast life mentality to really still stuck in survival cycles, seeking death. Yeah. Yeah, I got the family legacy on my shoulders. Broke mental stress and heart effects. Replaying institutionalized when I was first trying to escape from my side mentality. Called greedy for a reason. It's hot every season. Like Pop played a character hard to avoid where things pop off before retreating. Always been a lover boy. But I used to know soft was an insult, and you too friendly was a warning. Still overcoming every time I smile. This next one is based on a Sopranos character. It's called Multisanti Melancholy. I'm encircled by imaginary hordes, running from Meadowland's grief, being pushed by big man agenda until defensive. That didn't happen, what you said. The pennies in my pocket still feel good as empty. Chemical solutions calling my name. Would throw this phone out the window, I just need it so bad. A quick fix never lasts, but I always come back. These friends of ours find laughs in my slow suicide. They don't know hell like me, though we all will eventually. Particularly lost in specific costs with whatever face feels right. God, I love America. Let me live for now. Father figures taught me triggers solve problems. Beat downs, death threats, cheap sex, and cigarettes. There's a full day's work. A handful of skeletons in my closet. I can't sleep so good. Keep my peace because I'm not trying to become a cold case in an alleged family member's closet. I try to love you, but money makes a man. Status makes a man. Take no shit makes a man. True to the game makes a man. Bread is bad for finding your way. There's a forest in your eyes where I get lost. When they light up with your smile, I can feel the blaze spread. Rather than prevent the wildfires of joy that run over your features, I offer myself wholeheartedly, tender to stoke the flame. Smokey wouldn't be proud, but I'm sure he would understand with a grin. How the world feels like an unlit funeral pyre if you aren't feeling it. Why all these unsteady souls uncomfortable under your gaze, unready to admit they're hardly living these grave overfilled days. There's a forest in your eyes where I get lost, and few would follow, scared of losing themselves. I'm not lost at all, just in awe of all the branches of a person who can be so on track. Look at these trailing thoughts. It just took some teasing to open new paths. There's a forest in your eyes where we keep finding each other, going into the woods, making them something we explore, not just dream about. There's an ocean in my eyes where you found me, spirit sinking deeper and deeper, away from the sun, where the shadows of schemers from my past meld into the current until you can hardly tell us apart, but you can too. They said they were running games I would have to learn to play, and for the longest I believed them. We trade lessons on exercising ghosts, but I had to be washed up to find solid ground. Held a soul full of seeds for the longest. Now that my feet are planted, I'm finally growing. There's a forest in my eyes where you feel at home. And that's all I got. Good job.
Keep it going for Charlie G. All right, next to the stage is Rob Glacier. Rob has been making music since he was a little chap, having led the experimental rock group Brunch with the Carter units as a guitarist throughout his high school years, and eventually found his talent in production. As a music producer, he can embrace any timbre. He made beats for local rappers like Ox and produced experimental pop for soulful singers like Lady B. Eventually, he went full circle and got around to releasing his debut LP, Unveil Veil. Even now, every now and then, he has felt enchanted enough by the world around him to compose a poem, though like most of us, he doesn't make much money doing art, having instead to rely on his hot sauce business to fund his humble living. Inspired by poets like Walt Whitman and William Blake, and sometimes just being enchanted by the extraordinary which permeates the ordinary in his life, he's compelled to write down his thoughts. Other times, he's perfectly content to leave them unwritten. Unlike a good Buddhist, perhaps he feared that his words, like some of his music, wouldn't resonate. Though at least occasionally, Rob has felt compelled to not only write his words down, but to share them with the world. Everybody, please put your hands together for Robbie Glacier.
All the way to the stage. All the way to the stage. I left my water. Can I have my water?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm a bad host.
No, you're good. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. First time up here. If I could be considered a poet, I'm far from a prolific one. So it's very rare that I muster up the inspiration and the courage to compose a poem. Why ask why, when the Great Spirit hath no answer? No reason. Great Spirit, but that's merely a noun, and nouns are nasty. The Great Spirit has not and will not cease to bequeath unto me that there are no nouns, that there is no such thing as things. Yet the thing is so woven into the fabric of our innate grammar that we cannot help but presuppose its existence in the very proposition that denies its existence. So I'll get right into it. I'll start with a kind of a new one, a short one. Human energy without health. Material success, wealth without help. We sacrifice our energy and our health and our help to attain a height both impossible and undesirable, while a perfect miracle lies ready within our sights. Yes, we can find health, heart, and true wealth, and have it too. Though so many souls wouldn't know what to do with it. Sakyam, the blinding light of infinity, is like that of the sun. It can't be seen until it sets, until its many marvelous rays begin to collate with the mundane air. Finally, to collate with the mundane air. Sakyam. The true tragedy of the human condition is that from out of finally having fulfilled all of its needs, there arises a new need to have unfulfilled needs. Do we all, sometimes I wonder if we all always have to fulfill. How does that go? I guess do I always need to fulfill my needs? Maybe not. Maybe not. Detox? You suggest? Detox? Well, I do that every day from midnight to noon. Drinking problem? No. I've got a not drinking problem. A non-drinking problem. A not drinking problem. Luck and love. You used her as a mere means to check off step 12. But don't worry. You can apologize for your lack of humanity once you get to step 12 after the next relapse. It's a shame. I wanted to stomp our bare feet on peppers, hot peppers, and make mash together. But perhaps she only faintly wanted to want to. She seemed to always attract nasty types. Those who unflinchingly mistreated her. Those who ignored her like her father did. I wasn't willing to play that perverted paternal role. I wasn't lucky in love. But perhaps love and luck don't love one another. Perhaps to expect love between love and luck is to lack both love and luck. On a lighter note, I don't know about any of you, but I take off my sunglasses when I go outside and only signal when I'm going straight. And for those out there who observe Easter, the ego is like an erection. If it's big and hard all of the time, it gets in the way. But if it's absolutely never big or hard, we wouldn't be here. Happy Easter! Happy Easter! And I'll wrap this up with one more. Kind of a spring one, really, from last spring. Maybe still for this spring. Called Ouroboros. Ouroboros. My greatest fear, short of getting 5150, yes, less than insanity. If by insanity we really do mean trying the same things and expecting different results, or for that matter, contending with the same results. If that's really what we mean, aren't we all? No, my greatest fear is permanence. That of any state, perhaps even pleasure. The agony of eternity, even on the other better side of St. Peter. Well, until then, we live in loops. Loops, ebb, flow, wake, sleep, turn, return, excitation, inhibition, chaos, order, hero's journey, hero's return, heroine's journey, heroine's return, like ferns within ferns within ferns within ferns. Tiny thoughts fraction off from bigger loops of life. From day to night, season through season, from birth to death. Repeat and repeat without reason. Return without reason. To the end until the new beginning. And so on to repeat through all of infinity. My greatest fear has already and will always become true. And you know, it's not so bad or good, after all. Unlike any other state in which my mind, anyway, has ever been, the psychedelic state, it uniquely admits of no value judgment. A strange thing. It's somehow both good and bad, as well as neither. And perhaps the same could be said of the world. Buoyant on Cedar Lake that day, I was Cedar Lake that day, floating there along an amalgam of various intensities, along an undefined but still differentiated continuum, left open for me to define. Excitation, inhibition, warm up, cool down. Am I feeling it yet? Or is this just my anticipation? Paddle, stop, ask again, repeat. Loops, terrified until pacified. Every thought that recurred was every wave that returned. It was the loop around the lake along which I'd have to bike to return home for my routine afternoon brew. It was the radiantly red-haired woman on her own routine hike, passing me by down 27th with her ambivalent smile at my brew, on her way to some fortunate soul's house. I was more or less sick one moment, more or less well the next, but whether diseased or of good health, that was left open for me to decide. Undetermined until consciousness does its work of determining. Tell the sick man he can't eat, whose sole source of comfort is found in food. Tell the drunk he can't drink anymore, and what's he to do but drink? Hell, what's health without a little disease? Just a virtual intensity until thought renders it actual. And breaks the abiding continuous flux into these now unbreakable discrete blocks. Whatever I do, I should avoid thinking too much. Particularly when not thought, but deed is required of me. Not that thought itself isn't its own kind of deed. This might all sound rather nihilistic. And if there was one thing I absolutely felt, it was the unwavering sense of being ever so physical that day. purely physical, as if every cell in my body really was the concatenated outcome of energy and particles emanating and hurling from the Big Bang, purely determined. My body, oh, ever so determined. So marvelously mundane, but with such freedom in breathing and being so determined. Sure, the self is immensely more than the sum of its parts. I would never deny that. And there's both good and evil in the world. I wouldn't deny that either. Independently of any creature doing the evaluating. It ain't all in the head. It ain't all in the head. For if it was, how in the hell did the head get in there? It might very well sound nihilistic. It might even sound like an equanimous, and solemn acceptance. Either way, however else could the merely mortal relate itself to the mighty more, the infinite beyond? However else could the curious but capped creatura connect itself with the unbounded, perfectly imperfect pleroma?
Keep it going for Robbie. All right, I want to take 2 seconds here. We're a show, like I said, it's been going for 8 years. 8 years in February, this past February. So what we've done is we put together an anthology of people that were on the show in the first 2 years. That would be February 2015 through January 17. Those were the first 24 months of the show. And you can pre-order that book right now. So it's going to come out in September, and it is a fundraiser for Cracked Walnut, which this show is part of, which is the local chapter of the League of Minnesota Poets. So if you go to crackedwalnut.com/books, it's pretty easy to remember. You can pre-order your book now. It's $15 if you want to pick it up, $19 if you want us to ship it to you. But please order a book. There's some great poets in it, like some really spectacular people we got in there that were on the show in the first 2 years. All right, enough of the plug. Here we go. Next up is, okay, I'm going to say this right. Anna Šverclová.
Close.
Šverclová.
Šverclová.
Šverclová. That was close. So close.
Really close.
I even had to cut and paste because you have these weird things on your letters that I don't know how to do on the typewriter or on the computer. So I said I graduated in '94.
I was born in 01.
Yeah, I had a typewriter. I don't anymore though. Okay. As they were saying, Anna is a 21-year-old poet. And the director and organizer of McAllister Slam Poetry Team, McSlam. They were born and raised in the Twin Cities area and cry whenever it snows. Anna's work has been featured in the River Styx, Passages North, and Bird Code Quarterly, among others. They were finalists for both the 2021 Button Poetry Chapbook Contest and the 2021 Poetry Online Chapbook Contest. More about Anna can be found at Anna Šverclová. My last name's hard too. But at Šverclová.com, please, everybody, don't judge me. Just put your hands together and welcome them to the stage.
I'm thinking I should get a catchy nickname, maybe. Hi, I'm Anna. So I actually don't have a book yet, but I think it looks really cool when people go up on stage reading out of their own book. So I made this into a book. So I am reading from my book tonight. And maybe at the end of the night I'll throw it out like flowers at a wedding or something, and someone can catch it and you'll, I don't know, write a book next or something, Okay. Trigger warning if you have if you don't like hearing poems about my mom. by the grace of God. While I was still inside her, my mother cross-stitched me the words, Anna means graceful child of God. In the Bible, the character Anna is the mother of the Virgin Mary, the mother of God. Anna is mother of the Virgin Mary, the mother of God. Anna is mother of Almighty's daughter's Son, the Almighty, turns himself a circle inside out. When I left my mother's body, God left me. At 12, my mother tells me she's committing suicide. At 13, she calls me from a jail. At 15, she calls me from a hospital, then a hospital, then a hospital, a circuit. At 5, she leaves me for the hospital. If I am God's child and my child's child is God, my mother becomes my child. When I meet her for the first time, it is in the hospital. She is shrunken in her gown. When you were born a paradox, you are not afforded sense. Legend has it, I didn't cry when I was born. I laid there like I had seen this all before. I was 6 the first time she held me like a mother, cried diamonds down my spine. At my sister's wedding, I pull my mother into her dress. I draw on her eyebrows. I watch her take her first steps. I watch my mother become the flower girl. When you were born a paradox, you are not afforded sense. As I watch my mother shrink, I grow up without her. If I am God's child and my child's child is God, I become my own mother. But in this paradox, no matter how you twist the roles, I am still never God. I'm not crying, my eye was itchy, by the way. So more mom poems. This is another poem about my mom. The trolley problem is an ethical thought experiment. You're watching a train heading toward a fork. If you do nothing, the train kills 5 people. If you pull a lever, the train switches to a track where it only kills 1. Say you're standing beside a lever across from a set of train tracks, where a train is barreling toward a fork. On one side of the fork, your mother is strapped to the tracks. On the other, a clear road. You have a choice. Pull the lever or don't. Now, say you pull the lever and the lever is only a phone call. Your mother picks up right away. She's screaming about how much she fears the moving train. You think you can save her, so you pull the lever again and the call drops. You look and the lever isn't even connected to the train. So you call your brother, the train expert. He tells you trains can't change course. He tells you the fork is only in your imagination. You look back and he's right. The course is a straight track through your mother. You call a doctor for a second opinion. He tells you mother screams are bad for your ear health. There's your answer. Do nothing. You flick the lever on and off in a vain attempt to see if the outcome changes. The phone rings and rings, each time an angrier version of your mother. You call the train company and they say the best we can do for impending doom is pull your mother off the tracks, calm her down with an injection, and put her back on. Say your mother was a person once. Say there are a pocket full of memories you hold like a sack of marbles, and sometimes you take them out and hold them so tight you become them. If only for a moment, a 5-year-old watching her face change on a dime, your mother who drew the bath, your mother who drove the car like a demolition derby, your mother who bounced checks for new shoes and birthday cakes with no occasion, your mother who couldn't sleep over the sounds of the girls in the walls, your mother in the hospital bed drugged off of something that'll make her sleep. The rope that holds her to the train tracks is a rope only you can see. And you've seen it in her eyes your whole life. When you were a toddler and she held your hand and told you you could always live with her, she was scrolling the name Anastasia Romanov onto your coloring sheet. And the next day she changed her name, left the state, and you didn't see her for a year. The rope cuts your mother into 2 pieces, the one who could care for you and the one who couldn't. When the train comes, they both die. When the train comes, the real choice is whether or not you watch. You look at the train tracks and she has made a bed for you beside her. She is inviting you to dinner. You look and she's pulling a hot roast from the oven. You can't help but want to feel the train strike you both at the same time. You can't save her, but shouldn't you go kneel down by the tracks and have one last hot meal? The real choice has nothing to do with the train. The real choice is whether or not you stay until the rope snares you too. The real choice is the one you made. You never return to the tracks, but in your sleep you still hear the whistle. You still feel the rumble of the train. So in the book that I'm writing right now, it's actually about my mom. I didn't know if you guys would know, but I like talk a little bit about the I don't know. My mom has schizophrenia, so that's like kind of the backstory for a lot of these poems. And there's like a theme. I talk a lot about the fear of growing up and also like having a psychotic break. Because it's on both sides of my family tree. So here's a couple poems about that. This one's called What She Gave Me. I inherit her tendency for madness. Freud online calls me a classic hysteric. Sometimes I catch myself convening with her. In my eyes, in my hair, beneath my skin, a layer of madness best reached through the blood. Once, I heard a man's voice in the train tracks and followed it all the way down to the river. Like her, I inoculate myself with sleep. Doctor says this side of the unconscious is too dangerous. I've inherited an infinity beneath my eyelids that passes like a handshake. Consider my mother looming the idea of me into the world. Consider she wanted company, created it. Like anything that grows, I know this madness needs sunlight. A melanoma breaks her nose, they carve it out like a stone. My eyes etch the same deep holes, skull, a bruised fruit. I fear the shreds of her. A red hair here and there, star-centered iris. I grow old and fill her mold. My hips split my old denim in two. I try to snuff each signal before it smokes. Punch, cut, die, alter. If the womb is the origin of all disease, I cauterize the inside. The god of panic is horned. If you guys didn't know, the word panic comes from the Greek god Pan, and the original word panic was panikon, Panikon. So that's pretty interesting. I don't really know that much about Greek stuff, so I don't know, Google it. But I thought that was cool. Okay. And now I have another one. Decennial. Once I watched a rabbit give birth in a secret wooden box in the barn. The dark, warm place the cats always hid when my uncle came stomping in and kicked sawdust over the wets of their eyes. I should have known he'd burn it all down, the manger, the ark, and all the animals inside. Thursday, he made the paper. Thanksgiving fire. The barn is now a charred scaffolding upon which my life has always sat, panic risen like load-bearing beams. I am always falling between disasters, regular and measured, like the distance between 2 milestones. This is not the first barn, anyway. And I wonder about the next. Every 7 years, my mother flees the state. I believe that time is a spiral pinned back on itself like a ribbon hooking back to its anchor. Every disaster, I feel fur sprouting at my corners, singeing. I begin tracking synchronicities, catch screaming in the train's long exhale. Every year, the clock's fingers strike my temples. I close my eyes and see the halo he made with just one gun. A specter of him always lurking in my head. The fire, the night blackened with runnels of smoldered home. So that was actually crazy. My uncle actually burned his barn down on Thanksgiving, and it was the second time. So that's the backstory of that. He did it once when I was 10, and then again when I was 21. It's wow, that's crazy. they gotta watch out, if you have a barn in Duluth, he's coming for your fucking barn. Okay, and then this is my last poem. We're diverting from the mom stuff a little bit. You're welcome. There's God in snowflakes, tucked between the glass shards, fractaled like the fur of a moth's antenna. Some days the trees grow frost like a skin, and for a moment I forget my house, my car, tires flat, tank empty, the storm. I used to love, then hate, then love again. Thick white as it clumped and shrank and filled the world's bits like clay. I think God lives in cold the way fear lives in God. How cold God strips the road from the road, the heat from your home. It's the fear that propels you to wake, scrape your bones. Fear of the leaking window to seal the house with foam, old clothes, a blanket, and the moat of the door. I need fear to care. I need fear to live. There's God in the threading of the body for the world. Needle of the foot to the sock's perfect eye. Sweater, scarf, coat like skin, that's God. To build myself in layers on purpose. Callus on my pink palms. Dirt and hip and years. Somewhere, God built man and stopped caring once the air hit his lungs. He retired to pursue the surreal. Each snowflake carved by hand, not one alike. So whoever wants my book can have it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So our next poet is Jordan Stempleman. Has a book out over there. How much are they?
$10.
$10.
You can't afford not to buy it.
Right? $10. He drove up here from Kansas City, so gas money for
Missouri or Kansas?
Missouri.
The worst one.
it's like a street that separates them. Literally called State Line Road. Okay, let me read my spiel here. Jordan Stempleman is the author of 9 collections of poetry, including cover songs, The Blue Turn, Wallop, and No Not Today, Magic Helicopter Press. Stempleman is the co-editor of the Continental Review and the editor for Windfall Room, faculty advisor for the literary arts magazine Sprung Formal, and a curator of a Common Sense reading series. In 2013, the Huffington Post, holy shit, listed Stempleman as one of the top 200 advocates of American poetry. I know, right? He is the associate professor in the liberal arts department at the Kansas City Art Institute. Everybody, please put your hands together for this yet. Jordan Stempleman.
Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you all for coming, and thank you. Is it Anna or Anna?
It's Anna.
Anna, thank you.
Yeah,
Anna.
don't try and pronounce my last name.
I'm just sticking with that. I saw what Tony did.
All right, I tried.
Yeah.
Several times.
And Charlie and Rob, that was great. Thank you so much. I'm going to read from Cover Songs. It's a book that was supposed to come out way before the pandemic, but the pandemic, and so it took more time. But this was a book about a really long separation and divorce from someone I was with from the age of 19 till mid-30s with kids, and so it was long and it was arduous, and I didn't know how to do much other than to take care of the kids and keep going. And so to keep writing, I covered other people. So I wrote through other people, including myself. But the other people in this collection would be a really great surrealist poet named Joyce Mansour, and Edgar Rice Burroughs, who's known as Tarzan and other works, and then a great New York School poet named James Schuyler. But I'm just going to read some of the cover songs for Jordan Stempleman, and I'll read some of the ones for Joyce Mansour. Song 192. Tonight, lightning is the long lost given. Tonight, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. Yesterday, I fought with the house behind my house. I dug my bare heels into the lawn, tearing the grass a little. I am wicked compared to scars. I write notes about ambush and extinction and leave them in other people's dryers so that when they fold their laundry, they face these short, handwritten play cries like bird melt or ex-boyfriend gumwad. Around my mattress on the floor, I put up curtains. The dark is coming, I say. The dark is surging, I say. Come to bed, I say. Give us anything but the darkness when these open curtains close. Psalm 14. With you, I'm a scared whelp and night is night again. In my beard, there's a smell of an old forgotten cooler, once used for fishing, once used for sandwiches, that makes me unable to sleep. The fire I read about in 1932 is in a place of concrete and cloverleaf now. Last night, I thought I was going to get fucked all over the place. But tonight I picked my nose for the fourth time in 10 minutes and think how lucky I was to ever like, even for a year, something like drum and bass. The way you come out of this thing, this very real thing that's happening now, is to find the head and hit that head over and over until it doesn't belong to anybody. Not to pie or poison or infection, not to my lord or my woman or the strength to build these or anything like them ever again. Cores, more than anything, dumbfound me. I swear when I stare out. Song 242424. Another day and you're reachable. Another day and you're the hurricane that sucked bagged groceries from a roofless car. There's a procedure for not knowing what to do when the time comes. A label peeled from a salsa jar, twice bitten by the red, wet mouth of a sock puppet. I sometimes drive down the street with my car door open, looking down through the pavement for a water fountain or a portal into the difference between intimacy and radical intimacy. When your bicep came apart, all I could do was gag. And I should never wear a bomber jacket for this reason. No war, no dry spine. Some pages from your diary are missing. Song 99. I took the first prank of the day and swam to it for calling me out. It readily blabbed. The body of it below the neck gone in the black water, its head all drunken humor, lopsided like the tail of a carrot. It told me that my problem today was that I looked nothing like the shower raining down on a child-sized bed where a loaf of bread stands. You are not what hums in the featured grubby plate of Venus flytraps. You do not travel within a fighter jet within the dark, endless slick of a younger Ice-T's hair. Until the flood that follows greens the rebuilt road, your common rash will return. And the dynamite of mess merely goes poof. I'm the lisper that cuts hearts out from under the soaking bed, no matter what. Thank you. Song 1114. When was the last time you felt rotten and in love in a restaurant booth? When was the last time you felt in love with someone's manners, or how he leaned on a shovel while the sky behind did its best? All I want to talk about these days are moose teeth and drained moose eyes. I am incorrectly in love as a flourishing, half-discovered center. The tremendous knows no medication. All the time trying longer, trying elsewhere is how it's sometimes done. Song 1142. People would like to think they're close to becoming a moon that's caught fire and fallen from space into the ocean, but they're not. People are way more mentionable than that. They've got thousands of war stories and westerns, love between their fingers, deaths face down in their grandparents' kitchens. Is peace the denial of exception? A place can and will turn to us before it's turned into us. And a good send-off remembers you are never coming back. And I'll finish by reading a few of these poems for Joyce Mansour, cover songs for Joyce Mansour. I saw her mount my electric red hair, hungry bird feathers in my throat, and she laughed. I saw human instability, the pot for vomiting in church, and my heart did not understand. I saw that tears are not camels, monsters, suppliers of sand. My passion for laziness contains dance fragments and fingers for toes. What sleeps in our bed soils the bed, bothers everyone but us. We do not hate the old saying, its paper, its forgotten dreams, contaminating the cries of our dark room. We drain ourselves until we begin again, until the ugly face of the fire was me on your back and you on mine. I want to leave the sky without my stumps. I want to disappear into your hands, your sharp nails trimming away what's left of me until I'm urine and soup. I want to go quietly in the night and come down in a mist, too weak to slap an umbrella. Roll me into the worms. Press me into their old dark tracks. There's happiness in the rotten teeth of rabbits. Those dried up suns we're still too alive to see. My thoughts of you cramp, and all I do is set 1,000 things on fire as I look at you and lick at the rain. Your body is dead, and the dead do not eat enough to create a land of mourning for them to mourn. Do not eat the roots and the expansion of the body. Do not eat the flowers, the red flowers, or the blood sap of children, the tears from whatever this earth once knew as the forgotten or the found. Eat only those explosions that fall like leaves, unlike death, a bursting, open place where you and I appeared. I have a pig's head to feel what my bluish head cannot. I have seen my male friend's round ass seem taken by duck nests and smooch. Everything but us is waiting for the word elsewhere. We mouth the spread of electrical toys, laugh at the end of a love that beheads death before strangling the ground it grows upon. You say, my point of view is your favorite passed out thing. We reproduce at an alarming rate. Whole children grow and bury themselves around us, hissing like near frozen sunsets in their sleep. Thank you.
All right, so those are our features. Now, don't leave. We're gonna have a little break. During the break, there's a couple things that can happen. One, we have an artist, a visual artist here in the corner, Francis, selling her goods. So buy some local art. And then also, we are a nonprofit. We're part of the League of Minnesota Poets, 501c3, so we live off of donations. If you can donate, great. If you don't have cash, there's a QR code on that table tent in front of you. You can scan that as well. That's another way to donate, but anything helps. If you can't, you can't. It's always going to be a free show, so don't feel bad. We'll be back in about 10 minutes, so go get yourself a drink, because, you know, that's how this place stays open. And, you know, go see Francis. live stream. There we go. All right, let's try to fit in as many as we can here. So, rules as always for the open mic are simple. You got 2 minutes, and the order is random. So try not to. And only one poem, just one poem. So, if you decide to do a 30-second poem, that's on you. Okay. The order is random. So, Anna, give me number 1 through 7.
3.
Charlie Curry. We already saw Charlie once, but we're going to see him again.
This is mine this time. And I really appreciated what our feature poets did, and I love the references to quantum physics. All right, this is called Tethers. Resistance is futile, says Locutus Borg, tubes protruding from his face and neck and less visible parts of his body. It was only a TV program, science fiction. Locutus reverted to Captain Picard, tubeless, in the next episode. The Borg were defeated, resistance not so futile after all. Lately, I've realized that Locutus was right. I am making my way toward the company of ancients. Resistance slows but does not stop the journey. A tube here, a restriction there, another prescription to manage. It all accumulates like memory, like dust. My mother used to say, old age is not for sissies. She meant the indignities of it as much as anything. Pills, leg wraps, careful navigation, more doctors. She said it more than once, sometimes through gritted teeth. I thought I understood, and I did in my head. Experience drives it deeper into my heart and bones. She bore it all with grace and curiosity, as if each new limit was a puzzle to solve, a barrier to overcome. Infirmities and logistics were distractions. Nothing kept her from family, her friends, her tethers to life itself. My doctor has started asking me about activities of daily living. She looks concerned when I say there are loose rugs in the house. She describes an additional procedure for me, an activity of daily living not in the questionnaire, but necessary nonetheless. I am not overjoyed. Afterwards, there will be lunch with family, new logistics accommodated, folded in, again. Resistance not so futile after all.
Knock the stuff out. All right. Mary, give me number 1 through 6.
5.
Joey.
Hello, thank you for doing that so long. I wrote this one shortly before the pandemic, and I just think that's like kind of funny about it now. I don't feel quite so much like this anymore, but I still kind of like this one. This is called The Only Thing That I Really Want in the Whole World. Leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered, y'all. Leave me alone. I'm not trying to talk now. Just leave me alone. I got the house on lockdown. Leave me alone. I'm gonna lay in my bed and I'm gonna stare at my phone. Let me consume until I'm empty, then please leave me alone. I'm up past 3 in the morning just smoking weed by my lonely, trying to fill some blanks in these beats I've been doting. Some people know me. That's weird. Existence is torture. The horrors of being visible, present, and corporeal. A death wish in a flesh prison, deplorable. The head spinner, the text spitter, the oracle. My vision's indistorable. I've seen this all before. Got me boarding up the windows, got me sealing all the doors. I'm trying to rewind to the core. I just need a little more alone time. And if it goes right, leave me bleeding on the floor.
Robbie, 1 through 5.
3.
Desdemona.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm going to do a little poem of found poems. So this is using pieces of quotes from the writer and activist Meridel Lesueur. I didn't know who she was, but I got invited to do this celebration of her life and work some years ago, and so I had to do a little research and found that she was born in Iowa, and I too was born in Iowa, and then she was based in Minnesota, which I too am based in Minnesota. So this poem is probably 80% Meridel and 20% me. The sun with child, flesh shining, pagan and wise, still like budding tree, like cornstalk sweating in heat. Walk heavily, time bending across sky, unknown child born with stories that never die. Seed into new country, a history of lies will not be our legacy. We will tell the myth of conquerors and their discoveries, unmask the betrayal, and know it was the bumblebee and the butterfly who survived, not these dinosaurs. Money will not be our currency. It will burn at the lightest touch of our fingertips, and we will warm our hands in that light. We will not be without dream. We will taste 1,000 meals. We will not see the world as a stone. We will not negotiate with greed. We will outfox the frost and write on the walls of the sensuous and creative expression of life. We will not leave our passions deep and submerged. We will never die. Those of us who have the future in us.
Jordan, 1 through 4. Francis. Tonight's visual artist is also a poet. Holy shit.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so this poem does talk about mental illness and self-harm and suicide. So if you're not comfortable with that, you can leave. I will not be offended, but I just want to give a trigger warning. Okay, so it's called A+ in Survival. School was misery for me. Maybe it was a lack of focus, lack of attendance, lack of knowledge or reason to live, surrounded by people who didn't think twice. Depression is a hole where ambitions and strength go to die, and waking up was just a reminder I didn't want to be here. School was a place I had to go if I could promise I'd be safe enough to leave my room at the ward. I learned nothing except how to coach myself to walk to class when my friend didn't, because he had committed to suicide. I had different lessons, like how to administer bandages to wounds on a wrist, or how lithium might create balance in the brain of someone else luckier than me, or how the chemical reaction of charcoal in the belly is not always enough. I wonder if hospital visits can earn health credit, if panic attacks are psychology, if surviving speaks volumes on history.
Let's see. Charlie, G, U. 1 through 3. 2. That is Tom.
son sinks into his bed at night. He doesn't seem to mind. Quite unlike his dad, he does not always need to find something that is wrong. His impression never fades, even when he leaves to see his mother for the week. I don't want it to deplete, so I don't fluff his mattress back into its shape. He still belongs there, even if he gains an inch, eating like a lazy prince, sinking deeply into faded rest. He still belongs here. His favorite food is mac and cheese. Sometimes he just laughs at things like how I cannot seem to take off his mismatched socks when he kicks back and forth while he is, after all, only two, growing through the ways he plays, to the ways he talks to dogs, hovering above his unfinished mac and cheese like, no dog, no eat, mac cheese. And I refuse to make it in his absence. I miss him too much, or I don't want to cook, or comically, don't tell him. Honestly, it is not that good. But I get bloody noses from the coldest months. We are family this way. So when I hadn't seen my boy for 6 days, I filled a pot with water, then placed it on the stove coils until it boiled gone. In the end, I toiled at the thought that at the bottom of this pot were ghost noodles, vanished dreams, faded shadows of the last I cooked a batch of mac and cheese. Just like how his mattress keeps its shape. Thank you.
Joey, 1 or 2?
2.
Brendan!
A couple things before I jump into the poem here. One, Tony, thank you for always doing this. You're a champion. Thank you, all of the readers who come and share your work with us. Like when you take the time to be a future reader, that really means a lot. So thank you for participating in the community. And 2, I gotta promote something real quick. I have to do a shameless plug. Very much like Cracked Walnut, like I'm also part of the League of Minnesota Poets, and we have a show coming up. Yep, we have a show coming up on April 6th at the Loft Literary Center called Vibe Check. And I'm the youth chair on for the League of Minnesota Poets. And the whole premise of the show is a Generations in Tandem thing. Please come check it out. Loft Literary Center, April 6th, 7 p.m. doors. Please come check it out if you have a chance.
You don't look like a youth.
I was gonna say, when I started, I looked like a youth. Like now, I'm kind of an in-betweener. People are like, "Oh, you 25 or 45?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the show that Isadora Gruy and I are putting on. So please come check that out. And I'm gonna give you guys a choice. So for poem, we want depression poem or political poem.
Depression.
You have no idea how much that means to me, like how emphatically depression was. It's like, yeah, depression. Cool.
Depression.
All right, depression, it is.
Yay!
Sincerely, I love that enthusiastic response. All right, this poem is called Flesh and Bone. I often find myself measuring the distance between flesh and bone, with the minutes that refuse to stay seconds, the seconds pleading insanity to a 4-chambered congregation that begs to ask, is this all a human body is made of? The realization that being torn apart by all the wild, tragic beast ferocities that haunt man's perfect sense of perfection are nowhere near as frightening to me as the idea of knowing that somewhere out there on the internet, there is a cat video that I haven't seen yet. It's a sense of happiness, not a, you just saved $5 with your Walgreens Awards members card kind of happiness. But I just waited 58 minutes for a prescription refill that should have been available for me 53 minutes ago, and now I finally get to feel normal again, kind of happiness. Much like pretending to know rain when really your voice box is bleeding out, flickering from the television set like epilepsy, The drowning innocence is hardly enough to bring the words, move on. Going swimming only to be caught up to your own head and devoid of childhood gods that ring in the passive-aggressive thunder and wartime holidays, hand in hand with the burning afterpole of cheap whiskey, sinking into the allure of gutted trees and shaken off memories that get convoluted in the last beer. Feeling left open by consumption, the coffee stains and pencil-written suicide notes that carry my precious dot-to-dot obligations. I keep it right next to the lingering taste of what we took from each other until a thrown-in towel finally cried, we're even. My paralyzed teeth, weathered by the collision that screams, it was not a mistake when I let you kill me and make your home inside my bones. Learning every ridge and crevice like Braille, the world holds no claims on my heart. When I say that I love you, it is on purpose.
I mean, since we're shamelessly plugging, again, we're selling that anthology, and Brendan's in it. So he was here early on.
Am I really?
Yeah, you sent me a poem.
Of course I'm sorry. I'm dumb sometimes. So.
He was in it. He's no longer in it.
And just like that, someone has a new slot.
So crackedwalnut.com/books. All right. Next is Nick. Nick.
Thanks, everyone. This has been really good. I have a bit of a love affair with the wild, so this is from the wild. How do you enter the wild? That peaceable and wise armchair self, with all wit and no legs, says to go thoughtfully, carefully. One step here, the next step here, another step here. On high alert to keep you safe, to keep you on the path that brings you through the wild. Be mindful and knowing of everything that could kill you by eating you, and everything that could kill you by you eating it. You've got to know how to survive, to make it back to tell the tale. This is how you become a hero. This is how you make yourself seize the day, save the world. This is how you achieve your dreams, leave a mark on the world. But this grizzled bear self gruffs out something different. You don't find the wild finds you. And when it does, it sinks its teeth into your soft flesh, crunches into bone, goes deeper than what you knew you to be. You don't survive the wild. You don't make it back to tell the tale. Something else returns in your place as you in your becoming. You come back not with skin, especially not thick skin, but with fur and bark. You come back with fur in your teeth, grit in your pores, poetry on your lips. There's no such thing as false humility in the wild. No such thing as pretending. There's only what's real. And where what's real is, there death is too. You don't survive the wild. You don't make it back to tell the tale. You don't remember the wild. Because the wild doesn't exist in the past. It isn't subservient to memory. It defies being packaged into coherence. Do you want to know how to enter the wild? Greet your own undoing. You can't know what this will mean, but truth is, you're in the wild now. We all are. Everything emerging without your I plan. The only thing big enough to hold the wild is eternity, which is not a long time, but all time, which only ever is right now. Not all your control, not all your judgment, not all your rebellion, nor even all your justice or all your peace contain the wild. Shit. claim the wild has been or could be tamed is the very reason justice and peace are words at all. So the question, how do you enter the wild? No, you can't leave the wild. Though you can forget it, just as you can forget yourself. They're the same damn thing. But you can't remember it either. It's only the wild recognizing the wild. You, a locality where emergence recognizes itself. Don't ask me how I know these things. I don't know them. But this bark and this fur, they know.
Next up, we got yet another Charlie. Keep it all the way thick.
What's that make, 3 of us?
Yes.
But we spell it different.
All right, Lavarite. What is this? It's been so long and now you come gliding out, teasing me with your lack of production. Laughing at all those barkers and plastic salesmen, telling me this is the riches, this is where it's at. But how do I believe you? When for years all you showed me were the heartbreaks of dust-covered romancers, spider webs, and the works of F. Scott Fitzgerald. Left in attics, collecting time. Streets of darkness where thieves lay waiting in abandoned doorways and empty alleys waiting for the innocent young to stray by so they could infest them with their alcoholic diseases and carry their dreams through hot veins, to hearts too tender to know the life being zapped from them. The cold winds and the bite of rain along empty trails of adventure, where tomorrow is always promised more, and we're right about the wrong things. Children who think of their fathers as traveling salesmen, always on the road selling a product there is no name for, no potential customers, but promises riches no earth could afford. And now you send me fire that boils as hard of a Cancer moon, erupting Earth's volcano in a lava ride.
Next up, Veronica.
I know where the bees are sleeping, or at least one, a bumblebee, a young queen, the winter's only survivor. Before the cold came, I knew the whole colony. Their home was a gap between gray bricks, I won't tell you where. They trusted me enough to let me watch as they tucked themselves in. Now the brick of their home is a tombstone, their bodies shriveled petals. I couldn't choose a right time to mourn them, worried premature grief would create a self-fulfilling prophecy, worried my tears would blur goodbyes, worried my worry would kill them, worried it was already too late. Can insects even understand goodbyes? Before the cold came, they flew like popcorn kernels, bumping into petals, clumsy, like me in a middle school hallway, where I peered around every corner, checked and double-checked if anyone's gaze was on me, kept my back pressed tight against the wall even when no eyes were watching. The phantom sensation pinned me. I moved with my shoulders tensed, halfway to flinching. Each time I was called on without raised hands, my voice fled to my fingertips. I hid the trembling by digging my nails into my palms, left red indents curved like wings. I learned if I clench my jaw tight enough, no one can tell if I was crying. I haven't seen the queen since before the first snow. I wait for the thaw that will reveal her, grind my molars until flecks of enamel fill my mouth. I resist the impulse to dig her out, make sure she is still there, still safe. I know I shouldn't. My invasion would strangle her sleep. The exoskeleton of my anxiety would condemn her to a grave of snow, grave for still wings. I still turn doorknobs so the locks slide shut silently, still hover on the edges of crowded rooms, still scrape my nails along the cuffs of my sleeves until the fabric frays to nothing, still start crying when someone notices I'm choking up. I still get anxious about being seen as anxious, but I let the beast sleep. She trusted me, so I hold in my frantic pacing, relax my trembling hands. My worry can only hurt her, so I let the beast sleep, even though I still can't close my eyes, can't look away from her home. I will protect this nest, this grave, even if all I do is keep it safe for myself.
So, if you are wondering, how do I become a feature on this show? Well, there are business cards on the table. There is a link to a survey. All you gotta do is fill that out. It puts you in a line. There is a line, which is good for us. But we'd love to have you. We don't audition anybody. You sign up, we put you on. As the 4 features who are on today can attest, they did not audition. Okay. Not even a little. Although I saw you perform, but it wasn't an audition. All right, I'm gonna do one and then we're gonna end. Okay. So this piece, I don't like microphones. All right, this piece is called Feast. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, it just did. Think of the best mistake you've ever made. Was it a person who finally turned over your engine, made you feel like a woman or a man or some other definition of a human being? Did they remind you that you were breathing, alive, like you were launched into space, the space between relationships filled with jet fuel, fire, and the thought that you may actually be touched again, maybe even twice? Maybe in that place between reason and responsibility, the place of festivities and fuck yeah. Probably for a while. Otherwise, why would you stay? Why would anybody stay? Why would you decide the lesson is worth the learning? Why would the earth keep turning? Why would you have anything ever to do with anyone ever? Love usually lacks logic. Some people fall in love with the wrong people sometimes. We're told stories of knowing when it's right. We're told the stories of feeling it in your bones. Stories are fantasies, and fantasies are lies. The truth is that someone will at best be good enough, kind enough, blind enough to your bullshit. We will lean on this for years, decades, even if that person has made a constant feast of your heart for years, decades. They will have no idea of this meal they've been consuming. They will wake up, peel back their blankets, drink coffee, turn on the shower, wash off yesterday, dress in something that makes them feel good, even if it physically hurts, go to work, go to happy hour, find another person, put a number in their phone. No one remembers numbers anymore. Call, plan a date, pretty themselves up, fight the urge to flee, date, smile, kiss, fuck, find love, find home, break up, break down, feel homeless, feel lost, feel quiet, cry, sleep, try again another day. Just like you. At least, this is what you hope. I fear that what's left of my heart is nothing more than an appetizer, a mere morsel. It won't satiate. So, this is just a lot of words and metaphor to say that I miss you more than I'd like to. So, a couple housekeeping items here. All right, we got about 5 to 10 more minutes of, you can buy art over here and books over here, and then we got to clear out of here because they close at 9. Please put your dishes, if you're done with them, in the bus tray, make it a little easier on the staff here. And I thank you so much for coming down to Poets and Pints, number 94. Charlie G, thank you for being here. Robbie Glacier. Anna, don't make me say your last name. And Jordan Stempleman. Driving up from Kansas City. All right, and I used to live in Kansas City, so it's special to my heart. Anyway, so next month is April, but what is April? It is National Poetry Month, which means we got a bigger show. We're gonna go till 10 next month. I know, right? So we got, I think, six features, and they're teachers of poetry, or they were at one point in time. So be here. It's going to be an amazing show. It's on the 19th of April from 7 to 10. Again, my name is Tony Placido. Thank you so much for coming. Have a wonderful night. Get home safe. Tip your bartenders. Blah, blah, blah.